Hello model railroaders, welcome back to the layout. My name's Dave. Well, this will probably be the last video I do relating to ballast as far as making your own. I'll probably do one sometime in the future when I actually start putting ballast down the tracks, but at the moment I'll just give you a run over of what I've got going on. So I wrote out a bit more of a more defined listing of the sieves that I used. So they all come with start with GP2, and then there's the 112, 120, 130, 150, 170. In inches, that equates about 1/12, 120, 130, 150, 170. And then in decimal form in inches, there it is there. When you get into the more industrial / scientific, it's given as a mesh number. So that approximates about a number 10 mesh, a number 16, a number 20, number 35, number 50. So the finer you go, the higher the mesh number, or the higher the GP2 model number goes. And then in microns, that equivalates about 2000, 1191, 841, 500, and 297. So for those who are interested, that's as much information as I can provide out. So moving on. What I've got, I found a section of Kato Unitrack, and then here is on the left is the 500 to 297 micron that I did earlier, and on the right is the mix of two parts of the 500 to 297 microns and one part of the 2 parts of the 841 to 500. Sorry about that, it's partly covered up where I wrote the tag by the Kato Unitrack. So 2 parts of the 841 to 500 micron size and 1 part of the 500 to 297. So a 2-to-1 mix, or 2/3 and 1/3, however you want to look at it, just to get a comparison of it. So I'm going to zoom in a little tighter. So, well, lost the focus, and that's about as tight as I think it'll go in autofocus. So of the ones, and I'm going to slide this one forward just a bit, just so you can see a bit of a better bit of the ballast. It really is, looking at the Kato Unitrack, it does more mimic the smaller sieve size, not so much the larger sieve size, which is what I'm finding, that the sieve mesh size that I have, it's for prototypical work, even though this is still a large rock prototypically. By eyesight, it looks like there's too much rock. The edges aren't as well defined. Now on the Unitrack, it looks a bit different because they've got black specks in with the gray, so that gives it a little more texture. So part of making my own, if I can add in a little more non-white, because really that's what, even though it's blue crystal that I'm crushing, it is coming out more of a white tint just because the crystals are so small. Now looking at the mix, it definitely looks a little larger than the Kato. I'll call it Kato Unitrack. So it's a real hard choice to make. Visually, the 2/3, 1/3 mix looks better. However, it's on the large side of prototypical by about 50%. Now I'm going to move my 500 to 297, and I'm going to slide in the Woodland Scenics mix so that you can see the three of those. So this is the Woodland Scenics Fine Ballast here on the left, and then the Kato Unitrack, and then my 2/3, 1/3 mix, which is to mimic the Woodland Scenics as well as I can. So it's just shift that one up just to get a little more ballast across the screen. So I think I did a fairly good job of blending it in. The fines do seem to make more of a difference than just the straight larger particle size. So I'm happy with that. Again, if I had more of a color contrast rather than the more white crystalline, it would probably make it visually look more appealing. Kind of like the gray and the very light, dark gray and the light gray in the Woodland Scenics. That contrast allows you to believe the quantity of rock, where here with very little contrast it just looks like one big pile. I don't know, can't find the words to adequately describe it, but I do like visually the Woodland Scenics Fine Ballast as compared to the one I'm making. So that's something I'll need to do, is to add some more rock rather than crystal into the mix, just to give it that dual contrast in it. I'm still going to proceed and do that. However, both of these are larger than what the Kato Unitrack is showing the particle size to be. So it's one of those cases of what is your personal preference? I haven't checked recently what the Woodland Scenics Fine Ballast is as far as cost goes, but I know I've got a lot of the crystal out in the garage, which is celestite, which I looked up is strontium sulfate. And I do believe strontium is what gives the red color in fireworks. So if the house ever burned down, the layout would be glowing a nice bright red if I go ahead and put it down. But it is a chemically inert crystal. It won't dissolve and it won't corrode the track. So I'm not worried about that occurring. I did check the material safety data sheet for strontium sulfate, and there are no concerns there. So that is a positive thing that I can continue to go ahead and crush. Now, finding a way to crush down the 2000 micron size to more of a 500 micron size, that is still frustrating me, because I really don't want to produce a lot of powder or particles below 291 micron, 297 micron I should say, which is really dust. It's more prototypical, but it's way too fine to really use, apart from, say, putting glue down and sprinkling the dust into the glue to give a realistic dirt texture, which is how I'm actually going to use it. Nothing's going to waste, believe me. I'm going to pinch pinch the penny till it screams, as model railroaders usually do. We find unique solutions on how to reuse items, and that's part of the fun of the hobby too. Is, geez, I can use that, and we recycle it into something on our layout. So now that the weather is cooling off, probably do another few weeks of work in the garage to try and crush up as much of the rock as I can, knock a few other items off the honeydew list, and with the cooler weather probably getting into the low 60s, that'll put an end to the garage work and drive me back inside to hopefully get some visible progression on the layout, because that has been, forward movement on the layout has been lacking as far as that kind of an accomplishment, though I have been working on the ballast and getting that more dirtier work accomplished. So got to get back to building the kits and getting some track laid. But October, I do believe there's a very large train show in my area come the middle to latter part of October, so I'll definitely want to attend that, and hopefully I can score some more flex track, and we can start seeing a lot more accomplishment, and I'll have more, I won't say interactive content, but more interesting content to post rather than me crushing rock as I have been doing so far. So that's it for now. I hope that you've had some enjoyment over the summer and able to work on your layout, and if not, I hope you're able to return to it as I will be as the weather cools off. So happy model railroading, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.